Hello everyone, how we doing? Welcome to Tuesday's video. We've got a fair few things to get through today as we continue the build up to the big game this weekend. It's Saturday lunchtime as well, so we've actually only got 4 days to navigate between now and kick-off. That's the good news. The bad news is they're going to absolutely drag in. A welcome bonus for me last night as I was hunting for some sort of live sport to watch, and I came across Celtic Women away to Rangers Women in the SWPL. I was just flicking trying to work out how not to incriminate myself, because you're not meant to get Sky Sports in Australia. Celtic Women were playing Rangers Women yesterday in the SWPL. It finished goalless. A really poor game, so I'm told. But actually a positive result for Celtic. It leaves the SWPL table looking like this at the top. Incredibly tight. 3 matches to play for each team. Ours are at home to Partick Thistle this weekend, then away to Hearts, and then at home to Hibernian, with that final day clash taking place at Celtic Park, I believe a day after the first team's clash with St Mirren, so it could be a double trophy celebration that week. But very tight at the top. Our women's side have never actually won the league title, and this is the best opportunity they've ever had. Obviously went incredibly close, a couple of minutes away last year, so a positive result for them yesterday. Not that I saw it at all. Right, I've got a couple of stories from late last week that I just want to discuss. Just didn't get a chance, didn't want to do it yesterday because there was so much to get through. First of all, our home kit for next season has been leaked by the usual suspects. Footy headlines, very reliable in the kit front they are. And this is what we're looking at, front and back. Now, I would suggest that's a pretty smart Celtic kit. The thing to always remember with these early leaks is that this is as bad as this kit is ever going to look. It's all like crumpled and on a hanger, and it's not got the right light. And see, once the club or whoever they hire gives it the proper treatment, and someone like Matt O'Reilly or Kyogo Furuhashi are wearing it, it's going to look pretty class. I really like this kit. I think it's going to look great, certainly better than this year's home one. It's also been reported, I think, a number of months ago from Footy Headlines, again very reliable on the kit front, that our away kit next season will be yellow. Now, we've not actually had a yellow kit from Adidas yet, certainly for the outfielders. So intrigued to see what they're going to do with it. I believe the last yellow kit we had was actually in the final season of New Balance, that one back in 2019-20. So, yep, that's very interesting stuff, but things are certainly looking a bit better. Also on Friday, the club announced their new season ticket campaign. The cheapest price for an adult book is £579. That's up from £559 this time last year. I make that around a 3.5% increase. Over 65s are priced from £376, while kids are available from £60. My thoughts on this are pretty consistent. They're always, for me, that the club could have frozen prices, especially with so much money in the bank at the moment, and given that supporters are already putting so much money into the club and not necessarily seeing it spent and fully utilised, and not seeing that real ambition from the club. That's been a big part of this season. So I guess Celtic would argue they've got X number of people on the waiting list, and supporters know that if they don't renew, then there's going to be someone else willing to pay that money and take the season ticket. So the club probably feel they can get away with increasing prices ever so slightly. But just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do it. But you'll always get people saying that if people are prepared to pay, then, the club have made the right move. Already kind of thinking about how much they're going to charge for this Champions League package next season. Should we make it to the Champions League, of course, we're going to have 4 home matches as opposed to the normal 3. You're going to be looking at probably the guts of a couple of £100 as well there for season ticket holders on top of this season ticket money. So yeah, it's a very expensive time for supporters, and I just think a little bit of goodwill from the club would have gone down really well, but hey ho, I guess there's worse things happening in the world right now. Liam Scales was given a new contract on Friday as well. It was a very busy day, a new 4-year deal for him. I've kind of made my thoughts pretty clear on the new contract for Scales when it was first mooted in the media a couple of months ago probably. I think it's a positive move for the club to get him signed up. He's clearly someone worth having around who can be an important part of the squad for the next number of years. I think the majority of supporters see that, but I'd say, equally the majority, if not all supporters, see the need for probably an upgrade to be signed in the summer. Pretty clear to me that Brendan Rodgers doesn't fancy Mike Naropski. He clearly doesn't fancy Gustav Lagerbielke, who's going to be away in the summer. Equally, I think Stephen Welsh, Yuki Kobayashi, if you remember him. Those aren't guys who are going to be first choice players for us next season. So I would like us to sign a first choice centre back, someone who can partner Cameron Carter-Vickers and form a formidable partnership like he had previously with Carl Starfelt. And then you potentially have people like Liam Scales, Stephen Welsh as backup options. I don't think there's any harm in that for anyone. They'll still play matches. I think we'll see plenty of Liam Scales next season. But I think, as I say, you'd really want the club to be, pushing forward. People have always got the Champions League in their mind. The kind of irony of that last statement is that Liam Scales' best football this season has arguably come in the Champions League. That's where he was like one of our top performers. So it's kind of a weird place to be in, where you're talking about the need for a better player for the Champions League, but Scales has almost looked better in the Champions League than he has domestically. So that's where I am on it at the moment. Happy to see him sign a new deal. I think he deserves it. He's been, a bit of a revelation this season, but I think we'd all agree that we'd be looking for another centre-back to be signed this summer. Last night there was an update from Anthony Joseph on the future of youngster Daniel Kelly. He tweeted, Celtic midfielder Daniel Kelly has knocked back an initial contract offer from the club, but remains in talks over a new deal. Both parties are still keen to agree terms. His current deal expires on December the 31st and he could enter pre-contract talks with other clubs in July. The key point here is in the middle there, both parties are still keen to agree an extension. So let's just be patient with this one and I'm sure a deal will be signed. Personally, I'd like to see Kelly loaned out next season to another Premiership team. Surely someone like Hibs or Dundee United or Dundee would be a good fit for him. Give him some game time, really see what he's all about. He's got something. He's not going to be ready for the first team next season, is he? I think looking back, he only really featured this season because we were missing like McGregor and Hatate at that stage of the season. I think, we're probably going to sign a midfielder or two in the summer as well. Matt O'Reilly might leave. There's probably not going to be an opportunity for Kelly to play regularly, and I think it's important that he isn't just on the fringes of the team or playing with the B team. I'd like to see him loaned out to a good level Premiership team. Surely someone would be interested in him. Even someone like Ross County, if they're still in our division, get him out playing and let's see what he's got. Couple of tabloid headlines for you just to warn you of them. They very much tell you that it is Derby week. We've got this, Georgios Giacomakis in Celtic potshot as he finally reveals real reason for exit and what was shit about Glasgow. Now, if you actually read the comments from Giacomakis, I think doing some sort of podcast in the States, United States. He's actually very complimentary of Celtic and our fans, saying, "We just breathe for football." Don't know if that's true, but appreciate the sentiment, GG. And the shit part of Glasgow, just if you weren't aware, the weather, apparently. What a revelation. We've also got this unseen Callum McGregor incident worth a VAR check, as ex-refs say a clear red card was missed in Celtic v Hearts. Now, the incident in question was Callum McGregor skipping over Kenneth Vargas as to avoid contact and then landing and potentially catching him, potentially not. I mean, it was a major incident. I cannot believe you can't remember it. It was just so blatant. Yeah, I don't even really remember it. I had to look it up, but it's made headlines, and yeah, this is just another example of the noise we are going to hear between now and kickoff on Saturday, both from the media and I think from across the city as well. Now, I'll be honest, I think it was Stevie actually in the lead up to the derby a couple of weeks ago at Ibrox. Stevie made the point that maybe Rangers had learned a little bit and they weren't going to make the same mistakes in the lead up to the match, bumping their gums in the press. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, Celtic are this, Celtic are that, and then getting battered on the pitch. There wasn't much of that from Rangers in the lead up to the last derby. Not that it really helped them in terms of a result, but I felt like maybe Philippe Clement had learned from some of his predecessors and told his players to do their talking on the pitch. Well, it seems now in the lead up to this one, like all of that has gone out the window. He seems pretty rattled. We touched on that yesterday. You know, playing the other side, you'd maybe look and say that he's trying to light a fire under his players. Pretty sad you need to do that, you know, for a must-win match for them for the league title, but I guess that sums up their squad compared to ours. But also a lot of stuff going off the kind of the pitch with them as well. We had Fabio Silva giving it some of that after he scored, and then, you know, pointing to the back after I think his first goal in 2 months in Scottish football. He's a £35 million player, by the way. Yep. And we've also had Todd Cantwell last night posting this on Instagram: "A bird can't fly in a cage." Now, it's up to those at Rangers AM to look into the meaning behind that. That was an April Fool's, by the way. Rangers AM isn't actually a thing. But yeah, like Sead Haksabanovic was like out of Celtic within days when he posted something similar to what Cantwell has done, but they seem to just accept it. And yeah, it says a lot about their kind of standards compared to ours. And I just think it's quite interesting that there seems to be a bit going on across the city ahead of this match, and it doesn't seem to be wholly positive as far as they're concerned. Obviously pretty good news for us. Been thinking a lot about Saturday, probably like a lot of you, and I really do think it is about us. If we turn up and are fully firing Celtic at our best with that synergy I spoke about yesterday between the team and the fan base, I really don't think they live with us. I think the pressure will get to them, and I think we'll win the match fairly comfortably. I really think that's a possibility on Saturday, given all the pressure that is on them, and like they really struggled with pressure away to Ross County and away to Dundee. So what's it going to be like at Celtic Park with 60,000 Celtic supporters baying for blood? They don't have a good record at Celtic Park. The other flip side I can see, just you're again playing devil's dick advocate, you would look at like us being sloppy and potentially giving them some confidence. Now, as much as we won the match in December, and obviously Kyogo and, you know, Paulo Bernardo's really good finishes were the big difference, Rangers missed a fair few chances, especially in that first half. You think of the one when Dessers went straight through. That was a real bad mistake from Alistair Johnson. There was another one you might remember in the first half where I think it was Liam Scales and Greg Taylor both just left a ball that was going over the top, and one of the Rangers players, maybe Cantwell or McCausland, ran onto it. And I think that kind of sloppy play, both in and out of possession would give them some belief. And, I think if it's that kind of Celtic that turn up, I think, it's a 50-50 game. The question you've got to ask yourself is, what Celtic are going to turn up? Are we going to get the best version of Celtic, or are we going to get a really nervous Celtic? And we don't know for sure. I would say on the evidence of recent weeks and the really big defining matches, I think we'll get a Celtic that are completely fired up for it. And I think if we're right at it, I just honestly don't think they live with us. And if we get an early goal, I think they'll crumble. I really do. Whether things play out like that, I don't know. Listen, the last two derbies at Celtic Park, we've won them both, but they've been very nervy. They've had moments in the game, but there's been some big victories for us as well, under Postecoglou, where they were just unable to deal with the atmosphere. For me, after what has been a really challenging season, this Saturday for me is the game. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. And I think we're going to give them hell on Saturday. Bring our A game and watch them implode. And that's your title. Back tomorrow.